If the idea of standing out for all the right reasons in your crowded marketplace appeals, and why wouldn't it, then it's time you became a category pirate. It's episode 651 of the 14-year-old award-winning small business big marketing podcast.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back to your weekly dose of pirated marketing. That'll make a lot more sense very shortly, I promise you. I'm your host, Timbo Reid, and I have an insatiable curiosity for uncovering marketing ideas that help businesses just like yours to grow. And I do that by having a weekly in-depth conversation with a business founder who has walked the path before us. You, infinitely more importantly, are a motivated business owner ready to crank out some great marketing to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. As per usual, team, there's marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in. A very, very big thank you to all you motivated business owners who've already joined my Patreon to support the work I do for small business, and a very warm welcome to new motivated business owners, Stephen Gray, Leslie Stewart, Sean Wilder, Rick Peterson, and Emma Brinkman. Thank you for joining my membership, guys. In the past couple of weeks, I've added videos of marketing ideas that have caught my attention for both the right and the wrong reasons. Rolling Stone magazine caught my attention for all the wrong reasons recently. I put a video of that inside the membership. Plus, I've uploaded the full video of my chat with Dr. Katrina Wallace about AI. That was a hugely popular episode, AI for Small Business. And Steve Sims about going for stupid, last week's episode, which is also gone bananas. So if you want to watch me do the interviews, because I've got a great head for podcasting, I assure you, then join my membership. And I continue to upload fresh new content every week. Hey, if you're yet to join, then give it some consideration, as I am pretty damn sure the tax-deductible $47 a month investment, that's for the silver tier, will pay for itself in no time. And you can even trial it free for 7 days without obligation. So, hey, what have you got to lose? Head over to patreon.com/marketing podcast. Now, on with the show. If you're a regular listener of this podcast, first of all, thank you. But you'll have heard me bang on about the power of owning a niche an inch wide and a mile deep. Well, you no longer need to take my word for it, as we're about to hear from a world-leading expert on this exact topic, or as he likes to call it, category design. Fancy. Christopher Lochhead is a dyslexic paper boy turned 3-time Silicon Valley public company chief marketing officer and investor to 50-plus startups. However, he's best known as the godfather of category design, having written numerous bestsellers about it, including Niche Down, Play Bigger, and his most recent one, The 22 Laws of Category Design. He publishes a newsletter on the topic, plus he has a podcast called Follow Your Difference. So the guy knows what he's doing. Get ready for a captivating conversation on how to think differently and why seeing the world through a category design lens can change the course of your business and your life. That is a big claim, and I ask him about that very shortly. Just a reminder that all silver members of my Small Business Owners membership can watch the full video of this interview over at patreon.com/marketing podcast. Free, no obligation, 7-day trial. Why wouldn't you? And by the way, there is a language warning on this episode as Chris drops the F and the S bomb fairly regularly. So maybe lock the kids up for the next hour or so. Just remember to let them out afterwards. Righto, here's Christopher explaining what category design is and how it differs from niching.
So category design is a management discipline of creating and designing or reframing or recreating market categories. And so most people think, well, you can design a business and you can design a product, but the market is the way the market is. And it turns out that markets get designed. And so category design is the management discipline of designing markets.
And so it is different to niching? Niching's a decision as to what you're going to focus on, I guess.
Sort of. So we also wrote a book called Niche Down. So it's obviously in a very similar vein. So there's a market, a broad market category, and you could start as high up in a hierarchy or as low down as you like. So if you think about, you say, okay, well, transportation, that's a giant mega category. And inside transportation, there's airline travel, and that's a giant mega category with lots of subcategories or niches. Then you say, well, automobiles. Okay, well, there's many, many different subcategories of automobiles. There's muscle cars and SUVs and minivans and so forth. And so generally, when people say niche, they mean very focused, tight category. And category could be a niche, or it could be something much bigger. And in the case of small businesses, what you'll notice, particularly with tech startups, but many others as well, is they'll start off in a very tight niche, underserved area or an ignored area or an area that they are helping to create. It's a new problem that's not well understood. And it might seem very narrow to some. And then what they do is they expand what's called the category potential over time. And what can become a niche. So, for example, Microsoft starts off as an operating system company for personal computers when nobody gives a shit about personal computers. That's a really small niche. Nobody really cared. IBM licensed it from them. They didn't care to do it themselves. It wasn't strategic. And so they had a good provider. And so they said, sure, we'll license the operating system for the IBM PC from Microsoft. Well, Microsoft is worth many times more than IBM today. And they started off in a niche category of personal computer software.
I'll take either of them, but yes, Microsoft is infinitely bigger than IBM. Just to get really clear and at a small business level, Christopher, so my beautiful girlfriend Sarah has a business called Heartache to Happy. Okay, she deals with middle-aged women who are going through a separation to help them be their best selves during that tough time. Okay, am I right in saying the category is breakup or relationship coaching? Her niche is middle-aged women who are going through a breakup, or am I confusing the two?
Yeah, that would be the broad category. Just like you might say, I'm a doctor. And then somebody might say, well, what kind of doctor are you? And you might say, I'm a cardiologist. And in her case, she might say, I'm a coach or a personal coach or something along those lines. And she says, and I specialize with people who are dealing with a breakup.
Got it.
And so she's niching down on a life event. And so she's appealing to a person who's experiencing a very specific problem. And whether you want to call it a category or a niche, the thing that matters the most is the problem. Problems create categories. And when somebody is experiencing a problem for a first time that they've never experienced before, like a big breakup, or maybe they're experiencing it again, but it really hurts and they want some help, whatever the case may be, that event will trigger a problem for them. And that problem will cause them to look for a solution. And so all categories are designed around a problem / opportunity that a prospect or a customer has or might have.
I saw a quote from you, Chris, that says, you say seeing the world through a category design lens can change the course of one's business and life. This sounds very appealing. How does it do that?
Okay, so a couple things. There's a couple of kind of, let's get some foundational building blocks in place.
Yes.
So the first one is there's about 100,000 marketing books on Amazon, at least here in the United States. I assume it would be very similar down under. in your wonderful country, which I love and have spent much time in, and have had a few nights of debauchery. And some of the people I love the most in the world are Aussies.
Well, mate, we're all convicts. So, you know, debauchery goes without saying.
Our business is called Category Pirates. We love convicts.
Yeah, that's right. Arrrrrrrr.
My brother from another mother, Al Ramadan, co-author of our first book, Play Bigger, he's a classic Aussie Neanderthal. He showers about once or twice a quarter, brushes his teeth once a week.
Are you here to make friends or enemies? This is Aussie Neanderthal, says the heathen from California.
No, the fun part is in California and in a lot of the United States, you can't take the piss.
You take yourselves very seriously, you blokes.
I know. And so I can't help myself, Timbo.
Good.
First of all, your fucking name is Timbo, right? It's like there's no guys named Tim around here who are named Timbo, right? So that's a very Aussie thing to have like Mackers. We don't call it McDonald's, it's Mackers, right? And you don't have sunglasses, you have sunnies. Like in Australia, we give everything a fun name, right?
Yes, we do.
And we can take the piss.
It's good, mate. It's good. A lot less serious over here. You blokes, you Yanks need to loosen up. I've just lost half my audience anyway. Where were we? Category designing, changing one's life.
Yeah, okay. So get back to the books for a second.
Yes.
And then if you look on business strategy, small business, you'll see 50 to 60,000 books in each of the sort of big major business categories. Now, we haven't read all of them, of course, but we read a lot of the most important ones and many of the ones that most of us read. And here's the aha. All of them make an undeclared, undiscussed, undialogued, unanalyzed assumption, a radically big assumption, that when we're doing business, what we're doing is we're competing for market share. And the way you do that is with a better product, service, company, and brand. So if you go read most marketing books, most business strategy books, that's what they're about. How do we compete by having a better product, service, and brand?
Sounds like they're wrong in your book.
Well, this is where data helps. So category design is built on something called category science. So what I'm going to share with you is based on primary research. And so I can show you how we get there in a moment. That would be great advice if it worked, but it's not what anybody legendary ever did. And so the reason we know Sarah Blakely's name is because she refused to let her, quote, invention be called a girdle.
Sarah Blakely from Spanx.
Yes, it was a new invention. And a lot of people will say, well, the reason she was successful, she had a great product and a great brand, which she did. However, she said it was a new invention called shapewear. And shapewear was not like anything that came before. Mm-hmm. There was a before shapewear and an after shapewear. And she couldn't be in the girdle section, and she had to be in a different place, and her packaging, everything about it was, and I'm going to use this word very much on purpose, different, radically different. And she declared this new invention was called shapewear, and her product was Spanx. That's category design. And here's what the data shows us, Timbo. On average, in the tech industry, one company earns 2/3 of the total value in the market category. So value as measured by how valuable each company is in the market space, one company is 2/3 more valuable than any other company. And in the public company domain, they're 5x more valuable than other comparable high growers. And here's the reason. If you start to look around, you'll see in category after category after category, one company dominates. Because consumers don't want that much choice. We have too many decisions to make today.
Yes.
And so we developed a very significant filing system in our brain. And so here, let's play a little game. Let's say you were coming to visit me in Santa Cruz tonight, and we were going to go to one of my favorite restaurants. And I said to you, hey, Timbo, you're going to love this place. And they got a lot of great Aussie wines at it. It's called Alderwood. What might you ask me next?
What kind of food do they serve?
Exactly. So the way the human brain works is you have to understand what category, what bucket it's in, what file folder to put it into your head, because that way we organize things, and we also have a hierarchy of value. So in this case, the answer would be steakhouse. And sometimes people say, oh, well, I love that, but I was at a steakhouse last night. I'm feeling like sushi. Well, when that happens, it's a category to category conversation. We're not saying, well, is Alderwood the best steakhouse? First, you got to decide steakhouse or sushi, and then you got to decide which restaurant. So here's the aha. The category makes the brand. You can't have a legendary company in a shitty category.
Hang on, let me just understand that. It's early morning here. It's late night where you are. The category makes the brand. So you use the example, I know you're using the steakhouse example. How does the category, in this example, the category is restaurants, isn't it? Or is the category steakhouses?
Well,
why am I confused, Christopher?
Because it's a hierarchy. The answer to your question is yes. So there's a mega category called food.
Yep.
Right? And then there's food at home. And then there's takeaway, and then there's, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, there's restaurants, which is another mega category. And inside restaurants, there's all kinds of subcategories, or you could call them niches. And here's the thing. You want to be in a place of value in the minds of customers where the thing that you do is what they want. And if you're the leading proponent of the thing, they will assume you're the category leader. So if I have a steakhouse, by way of example, and rather than running ads on TV or on the internet or anywhere else that say, hey, come on over, we got an awesome steakhouse. Instead, I start creating digital content, sharing cool things with people about our steakhouse, about how to run a steakhouse, about how cool new technology for cooks, for whatever the hell you want to talk about. But you start being a evangelist for this kind of legendary cooking. Well, people will assume you're the category leader.
Own it.
And here's the aha.
I was going to say put a stake in the ground, but I didn't mean to use such a pun at this early morning.
Well, here, let me put this stake in the ground. Brands are about us. Categories are about customers, their problems, their opportunities. And when we hear somebody marketing them, their brand, we assume they want our money. When we hear somebody marketing our problem, our opportunity, we think, oh, that's somebody who gives a shit about me.
Let's drill this down or cut to the chase. I don't care which cliche we use, but there's a whole lot of small business owners listening to this. Many are established. Many, I'll assume the majority of my listeners have an established business. There's startups listening, and there are a bunch of cubicle escapees who are working for the man and are dying to escape and start their own business. But let's start on those listeners who have an established business. How can they apply your category, your niche thinking in something where they've already, they're already doing what they're doing? They're a plumber servicing the Sunshine Coast where I live, or they're Sarah servicing middle-aged women going through a breakup with Heartache to Happy, or they've got something going. Is it too late, or is it a big decision?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, here, why don't I tell you a story, and then we can unpack the story in any level of depth you want.
Love a story.
So this is a story about a guy named Matt Campbell. I've never met Matt in person. I've met him over the internet. And I met Matt because he started consuming our stuff, learning about category design, and he applied it. And here's the story. He lives in Las Vegas, and he was a wedding DJ, and he was a good wedding DJ. And so he made a very good living. However, his business existed on word of mouth, and he was pretty much undifferentiated. And the way he differentiated himself was happy customers would tell prospects, and many of them would become customers. And he had a few other things, but essentially he was not very differentiated. And so he had to be very competitive on price, even though he had a great reputation, AKA brand. So a couple of key tenets in category design. You want to be different, not better. Better is a debate. Better forces a comparison. The dumbest thing you ever hear in marketing is, well, our competitors say blah, 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 but here's what we say, dat, 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 dat. That's insane. We want all others to be compared to us. We're different, not better. Different forces a choice. Better forces a comparison. We have to put a stake in the ground in what that different is. Point A. Point B, categories or problems make categories. So back to Matt Campbell in Vegas. He says, well, what problem do I really solve? And most people in business, Timbo, spend a lot of time thinking about the solution and very little time thinking about the problem. Matt hadn't thought about the problem that much. He considered it. Rule number one, law number one of category design is thinking about thinking is the most important kind of thinking. So he starts thinking about the problem from different angles. He spends time, he talks to people, of course, talks to customers, thinks, brainstorms, et cetera, et cetera. And he has this aha moment, which is, it isn't necessarily that they want a DJ. What they want is legendary music at their wedding that sets exactly the tone that they want. He creates a new business called myweddingsongs.com.
Nice.
And they're the world's first wedding song planning business.
New category.
New category. And Matthew's business went from steady state, doing all right, to up and to the right very fast. And because he could deliver it digitally, his scalability was infinitely different.
So he's literally, he went from being an on-the-spot wedding DJ at the event to actually providing a service online to help brides-to-be create the perfect song list for their biggest day yet.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And then they could get exactly what they wanted when they wanted, and they would have done it in this powerful environment. They can research the most popular songs and the trends and the other. Like when you, at first you go, how hard could this be? Yeah. But if you're a bride who really cares about your wedding, guess what? And having a very rich technology-enabled platform that helps you make all these decisions about all this music for all these certain components of the experience, it turns out that's a complex set of decisions that can be made. And if you have a database of all this music and you leverage all this expertise, and so you have basically a wedding song configuration capability at myweddingsongs.com.
Does he then, is he still the DJ? Or is he now just planning lists?
I don't think he does. I'm not positive. He might still do some because I know he loved being a DJ, so he might still be DJing. But the business, the thing that's really driving is the myweddingsongs.com.
So there's a number of questions there. Okay, so he's definitely identified a problem. I'm not sure anyone's searching for that problem. They know they have that problem. But I don't know how many brides-to-be or grooms-to-be are actually sitting down and going, is there someone out there that can put a list of songs together that match the various things that happen throughout the wedding? You know, walking down the aisle, entering the reception room, making the speeches, dancing. There's a whole lot of stuff. Are people actually, when you invent a new category, there might not be a lot of search around it, number one.
Which is very good news. Because here's the aha, Timbo.
Yeah.
This is very important. Aha. What most people are doing when they think they're doing marketing is fighting for demand. So everybody wants to do, by way of example, I was listening to some of your recent episodes, SEO. And SEO is important. However, it is the very rare person that asks the following question. What makes somebody Google a term in the first place? Because you see, by the time they Google the term, they've been educated about it by someone. And here's the aha. The person, company who first frames, names, and claims a problem that I relate to and therefore want to solve, or an opportunity, I assume is the leader.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about the minute you're fighting for a Google keyword that already exists, you've already lost. Now, there's a sidebar to that I may want to make sure we get to, called Damn the Demand, but we can get to that in a second because it's an important one. But so the next logical question, of course, is, well, then how do you get people to Google the term?
Mm-hmm.
Well, thought leadership, earned media, podcasting, YouTubing, PR.
Get yourself out there. So you become.
Get yourself out there. Contact all the wedding planners, build relationships, et cetera, right? So go figure it out. But essentially, when you're the category designer, you're setting the rules for the industry. So, and I don't know, maybe Matt will tell you. So I'm not sure all the specifics of how he did things, but it would have had to have been a combination of things. Tactical things, reaching out to wedding planners, and he had all these relationships already. So I'm sure he built more and so forth and so on. And at the same time, he was very, very prolific in the native digital world, talking about this sort of stuff on various platforms.
I love this. It's a great story, Chris. He has been prolific educating. He as the category designer, which he has become with myweddingsongs.com, whole new category. Is it incumbent upon him to then be the educator of that category? Because he's just a little guy in Las Vegas, right? He's not some big, I'm assuming he's a solopreneur. He doesn't have an infinite marketing budget of time or money. Yet, as the category designer, it sounds like you need to take the lead on educating people that, hey, this category exists. This is what it means. This is how you can benefit from it.
Yes.
And then, which is a good thing in a sense, but then you're doing the work for all those competitors who are then going to come after you because they're going, oh, geez, wedding song playlist. That's awesome. I'm going to get into that as well. And Matt over there, he's doing all the heavy lifting. Thanks, Matt. Am I right or wrong?
Yes. So I love this. So great, Timbo. So the first piece is on the educating. Everything we value, we've been taught to value. Everything, including human life itself. There are parts of the planet where people don't value human life very much. And we've been taught to value certain things in certain ways. And so a diamond is worth a lot more than a pebble on the street. There's no intrinsic value in a diamond or a pebble on the street. We've been taught to value them differently.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of what we're doing with category design is we're establishing a new domain of value by framing either an existing problem in a new or different way, or a whole new problem that people hadn't thought of. But either way, problems open the door for solutions. Everybody wants, I want to talk about my solution. It's talking about my solution. Yeah, well, if nobody has a fucking problem, they're not going to buy your solution now, are they? Okay, so the aha here is somebody is going to teach the world how to think about this. And if it's not you, your future's at risk. See, Bob Marley teaches us his category design for a new type of music called reggae. And then when we hear the next reggae artist, Peter Tosh, he is in reference to Bob Marley. Everybody's in reference to Bob Marley. Everybody, right? And so when we do comparison marketing, it's insane. If I say to you, don't think about Coke, think about Pepsi. Whatever you can do, don't think about Coke, don't think about Coke, don't think about Coke, think about Pepsi, don't think about Coke, don't think about Coke, don't think about Coke. What do you think about?
All I'm thinking about Coke, mate.
Exactly. But Pepsi has spent billions of dollars, and they might as well have Venmo'd their marketing budget to Coke. Yes. And we do it all the time. Small businesses are terrible in this regard. So this goes back to different, not better. So when you're the one teaching the world how to value your different, that's why Starbucks doesn't call it a coffee. They said it's a triple grande latte. So you can go from 25 cents to $5. And from a product perspective, all we did was heat up some milk. All right. But you can't charge $5 for something that's a quarter, that has the same name. So the differentiation and the new language in category design, we call it languaging. So my point is, somebody's educating the market anyway. If it's not you, your future's at risk. If it's you and your category design works, that is to say, people accept your definition of, oh, yes, there's this, there's this problem, there's this solution. That's I need to go look into that. Okay, great. That's called creating actual net new demand from zero, not fighting for demand.
Can you go all in, Christopher, or can you test this? Because again, going back to those listening who have got established businesses, Matt, he sounds like he changed. It sounds like I'm assuming his business was weddingdjlasvegas.com. He's done your work and he's now myweddingsongs.com. He's literally up and lifted his business into another space. Do you have to do that? Or what about the plumber or the chiropractor listening? Can they go, you know what? I'm going to test what
I'll give you my current favorite one. You ready?
Go.
It's my current favorite one, small business. Actually, I got a couple, but this is the one that's on my mind. I can give you my other favorite right now if you want. Okay, but here's the first one. So my new favorite pizza place in Santa Cruz is in a brew pub, a craft brew place. And they make this pizza that's like a real thick crust pizza, but it's like a focaccia. So it's like crunchy on the top and bottom and real soft in the middle.
Hello.
And it's inspired by a Detroit style pizza. However, when the two guys who started the place opened, they were calling it Detroit style pizza. And they got a bunch of shit from people who said, well, it's not authentic because of the this, that, and the other. And it was true. They had added their own flair to it. So now when you walk up to the bar, which is called St. Darius, there's a sandwich board sign outside of it that says, you ready? Inauthentic Detroit pizza.
I love it. Taking the fight up to them.
Now, there's a bazillion pizza joints in town, and all of them are playing a better game. Oh, our sauce is better than their sauce, or our crust is better than our crust, whatever the fuck. Our crust has fucking this in it. Oh, yeah, well, we put fucking crack in our crust, and whatever the hell it is, right? They're all having a product, feature, brand, coupon battle because they're radically undifferentiated. Well, in this case, it's inauthentic Detroit pizza. So if you want to try inauthentic Detroit pizza, we're your guys. And if you don't want inauthentic Detroit pizza, go somewhere else.
Love it.
And so they set the agenda. Oh, and by the way, I can't remember exactly, but they're 3 to 5 times more expensive. And they come in these boxes and, they're tiny little pizzas because they're gourmet craft made by angels with, help from Elton John and Oprah. And I have no idea what, right? So it's a huge premium product because it's exclusive and it's radically different.
Okay. Therein lies the word. This is the word of the episode, Christopher. Different.
Different works, better doesn't. And we're all trapped in a better game. We're all competing. Sarah Blakely, not competing. Steve Jobs, not competing. Elon Musk, not competing. Inauthentic Detroit pizza, not competing. It's a spectrum. You can be trying to return rockets. That's a new category for shit, right? Or you can have pizza in a very special way that you like it and declare it as distinct. Don't just call it fucking pizza. It's a XYZ pizza. Here, I'll give you another one I love. We'll go food.
Yep.
Okay. So I love sushi, but sushi on the go sucks. If you try to eat sushi in the car, terrible.
Messy. Yep.
Soy sauce all over the place. It doesn't work, right? Point A. Point B, living in California, we're spoiled. We got burritos everywhere.
Great Mexican.
And burritos are amazing. So this small chain of local sushi restaurants decides to open up here in the Bay Area. Well, guess what? There's a bazillion sushi restaurants. And guess what they compete on? Quality, location, price, service,
all the usual suspects,
cleanliness, all the usual stuff. And we got a really cool brand name and cool t-shirts. Okay, great. That's how they all fucking compete. What do these folks do? They think about sushi from a different perspective. And they think, A, what if we could have sushi on the run and it worked? You could eat it. It actually was functionally doable. And B, burritos are legendary. So they don't launch a sushi restaurant. They launch Sushi-rito, the world's first sushi burrito. And now people have ripped them off. And we'll get to your other question. And there are other knockoff sushi burritos, but they are the world's first sushi burrito. They category designed the market.
How have they gone about? Do you know? How have they gone about educating the market that there's this thing where Japanese and Mexican food have had a baby?
Yeah. So here's the other thing about category design that's radically different than most marketing. Here's the truth. About 90% of what we've been taught is completely wrong. And here's a great example. The greatest form of marketing was, is, and always will be word of mouth. So when we're doing category design, because we're focused on different, not better, you have to be able to express the different, which comes with a little story. In category design, that story is called a point of view. And I just gave you the sushi burrito point of view. I gave you the wedding song planner point of view. And what the point of view is designed to do is open the aperture of people's minds to get them to consider shifting from an old way of thinking / doing / bending on something to a new and different way. And everybody in marketing says, people don't like change. People don't like change. It's bullshit. People love change. People love change if they understand where the value is for them. Right? And so when you're the person moving them from the old way to the new way, you're setting the agenda for the entire market space. And now everybody is compared to you. And here's the aha. If you can execute, you're going to earn 2/3 of the economics. And so the reality is, and, I don't do very much work with companies anymore, but, I'm still I'm deeply in the category design world, talking to people about what they're doing all the time. And they're always amazed why us category designers can tell them what's going to happen next. because we've seen it a million times. And you know your category design is legendary if within the first week, competitors are starting to rip off components or all of it, which is what you want.
You want. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The highest form of compliment.
Because they're going to compete with you and you're not going to compete with them. See, category design is about competing with the status quo, not a company. It's about competing with the old way. And if I just circle back to WOM for a second, category design is the only business strategy focused on WOM. So if you get back to Sushi Rito, how do they grow? Here's how they grow. They do a lightning strike, an event to get some attention, some PR, an open house, a free thing, whatever, a little bit of a stunty poo, something. They do something to get some attention and get the ball rolling. Now, when they say, hi, we're Sushi Rito, problem we solve is sushi on the go, and we combine two of the greatest foods in the world to create the world's first Sushi Rito. Everybody wants to go taste that shit, right? When I say what I just said, which is their point of view, who do you think are the first people to come to taste a Sushi Rito when they open, Timbo?
That's an interesting question. Is it existing customers?
It's existing customers who know and love them.
Yeah.
And people who are probably a little bit more adventurous and want to taste a new, exciting thing.
What does Sushi Rito look like, just out of interest, Christopher?
It looks like think about it. It looks kind of like an ice cream cone. It's a burrito.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of tighter at the bottom than a true burrito. And if you Google, you'll find, if you Google Sushi Rito, you can see photos of them.
Okay.
Anyway, the point being, the people who come are your most excited, enthusiastic customers. In category design, we call them super consumers. And when you launch something new and different like this, also people who are not your customers, but are broadly super consumers in the broad category, the broad market space, because they're leading edge and they're in the top. A super consumer typically tends to be in the top 8 to 12% of the customers in any given market category. Anyway, point being, they're the ones who want to go check this stuff out. They're the most enthusiastic. They typically buy the most, et cetera, et cetera. Well, guess what? When they try your new category design, your new product, and they have a context for understanding it, which is the category design, and you give them a point of view, well, guess what? Marketing's main job is to put the right words in the right mouths. And so when you launch a category design focused on super consumers with a powerful POV, you ignite a flywheel of WOM. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to do other things in the marketing mix. Of course you do. However, category design is focused on creating a flywheel of WOM. Because word of mouth is, and always will be the most powerful. And in the native digital world, they call native digital WOM going viral. And you don't have to go massively viral. More importantly than going viral, what you want is to establish a powerful place in the space, in the digital world, where you're sharing awesome content and you're doing cool things and you're approaching it in kind of an infotainment sort of a way, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Point being, the ability for digital WOM to spread is much higher than in the analog world. And so that's why we want to be present in the native digital world, where our most likely supers are, and beginning to show them the new category design by expressing the POV.
Christopher, once you embark on this journey of being different in order to stand out and become a category leader, and then others follow, and that's the greatest compliment you could have, is it then incumbent upon you as the person who designed that category to constantly be feeding? It sounds like we're creating a monster. We've got to feed this monster. We've now got to come up with the next Sushi Rito. because there's 100 sushi Ritos now in my area. Because at some point you're going to be forgotten as the guy or girl who created it.
Yes and no. I'll give you another one that I love. The company's called Scott, and they're in New York, and they make jackets. And they were the creator of 2 categories of legendary, iconic American jackets. One is the motorcycle jacket.
The black one with a sort of triangular sort of thing at the front.
It's called the Perfecto. Marlon Brando made it famous, and many, many rock stars thereafter. And the bomber jacket.
Yes. Tom Cruise, Top Gun.
And way before that. Yeah, exactly. But that style of jacket, they invented that jacket. Now, this business still exists today as a relatively small business.
It's a family business, isn't it?
It is a family business. And they've been knocked off a bazillion times. And they have stayed tight in the niche. And yes, they sell other things. You can buy T-shirts and you can buy sweaters and other kinds of different jackets. And, so they have a real product line, but they're most famous for those 2, the motorcycle jacket and the bomber jacket. And they've innovated out of there, but they've still stayed comparatively very nichey. It's high quality. I believe it's guaranteed for life. They're incredible, right? Mm-hmm. And so what they've done is they've staked out the high-end premium position, and they say, we're the original. Yeah, you can go to, there's a lot of people who make nice jackets, but we invented this. And that's why you want to be the category designer. See, we all know who Pablo Picasso is because he's the category designer of a new category of art called Cubism. When he was trying to be an impressionist, nobody cared. It's when he broke and did something different. And we don't know who the 7th greatest Cubist painter in the world is.
Just not the first.
Because he invented it. Scott was the first to put a zipper on a jacket. They invented this shit, and they stand on that. And they go, we stand alone.
I'm being literal here, but do you have to use the word original? Do they have to use the original, perfecto?
Original is a great word. First is a great word. So, another quick story for you. And I'm giving you stories in very crowded spaces on purpose. So this is another restaurant idea. So 4 or 5 dudes live in the New York area, and they love to get together and eat burgers and fries and listen to classic rock music and drink beer. And play old school video games, the stand-up video games.
Love it.
Miss Pac-Man, all that shit, right?
Yep.
The old shit. So one day, a bunch of dudes sitting around doing this shit, they have the idea, like a lot of dudes sitting around drinking have ideas for businesses, particularly bars. Mm-hmm. They say, hey, we should open a bar that does exactly the shit we like to do. So in a drunken stupor, they say, fucking A, and they get on it. And here's where the genius comes, because if they just done that, we're not talking about them because they're out of business in probably less than 5 years. Here's what they do. And this is where category and brand can work together. They declare the category. And so if you look at their website today, and I just checked it.
Is this 5 guys?
No, the company's called Barcade.
Barcade.
That's the company. And the tagline is the original arcade bar. So arcade bar is the category. The tagline is, hey, man, we invented this shit, the original arcade bar.
Brilliant.
And the brand is a subset of arcade bar, or as a re-swizzle of it, Barcade. And there's a bunch of them around the U.S., and people love this place. And it's just, they just sell burgers, beer, they play Rush and Van Halen, and have Miss Pac-Man and shit.
Hello.
That's it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great name too. I mean, they're lucky with that. I mean, that's a blessing to, yeah. It's
Yeah, well, this is how smart marketing and smart category design, when you put them together, bam, you're unstoppable.
Yeah, I love that. The idea of being different, Christopher, just to finish up, it's been a very interesting discussion. To be honest, at the start, there was a sense of confusion, but the penny dropped. And thank you for sharing the stories that you have, because it makes it real. And if anyone's ever going to be on a podcast, learn from Christopher, because he tells stories, and that's the way it works. It's a great. Anyway, I digress. This concept of being different, which I love. But you don't want to be different for different sake. You want to be strategically different. It's easier to be different. You can do silly things and be different.
Right.
Right.
You want to be different in a way that makes a difference, right?
Yes.
And the thing with category designers is most people in business, Timbo, whether they realize it or not, they're playing a fairly incremental game. And look, there's a real place for incrementalism, and positive incremental change over an extended period of time can add up to something extraordinary. So
Atomic habits.
Exactly. Absolutely. You don't lose 40 pounds in a day, right? And work your craft and all that. So there's absolutely a place for all that. I'm not shitting on that. And category design is for people who want to do exponential. Mm-hmm. And the amazing thing is, category design is a new lens on business. Most people have a brand lens. Most people have a competition lens. Most people have a product lens. Most people have a business model lens. Some people have, various expertise areas and distribution channels or finance or whatever it is, right? But most people don't understand how markets work, as crazy as that sounds. And I'll give you a great example, just happened. So Meta launches Threads, and the press over here, I don't know what they did down under, but the press over here says, this is it. This is the Twitter killer. This is the Twitter killer, Twitter killer, Twitter killer, Twitter killer, everywhere. And it becomes the fastest growing new app in history, surpassing even ChatGPT to 100 million users. And everybody goes, see, Twitter thread, Twitter killer, Twitter, threads, right? We said it at the time. This is going to fail. This is an intergalactic failure. There's a reason you didn't drink Red Bull Cola today. There's a reason you didn't shop at the Microsoft store today. There's a reason you didn't use an Amazon Fire phone today. And the reason goes like this. You can't enter a market solving the problem as it's defined or designed today with a quote unquote better version of the current product that solves that problem in that category. And that's why Red Bull pulled Red Bull Cola. And that's why Microsoft lost $1 billion on Microsoft stores. And that's why you and I didn't meet on Google Plus, because Google Plus didn't crush Facebook like it said it was going to. This is a mistake that gets made over and over and over. I think I have a great brand. I'm going to come at this thing. There's big demand in this market. I'm going to build a better product. I have a good brand, and away we go. And you watch, 24 months from now, Thread's gone. Maybe sooner.
Yeah, interesting. Christopher, good discussion, mate. Got a whole new look on being different, on niching, on category creation. If anyone's inspired, and I'm guessing they are, head over to lochhead.com, and that's with a double H, LOCHHEAD.com. You've got about, I don't know, how many books you got? A ridiculous amount. 9? Play bigger, niche down, the category design toolkit, a marketer's guide to category design, the 22 laws of category design. Why aren't they immutable laws out of interest?
It's funny. So that's the 22 laws is the newest one. And we had a debate for all the obvious reasons. And what we discovered, we did a little digital research. When in doubt, try to find some data. And what we found was that most people, when search 22 laws, they don't write immutable. And actually, this is the thing we didn't touch on. So with 22 laws, of course, this is a tip of the hat to Reid and Trout, 22 immutable laws of marketing, right? And it's also not competing with it, but it's doing what's called damn the demand. And the way damn the demand works is you were looking for this, but maybe you want to consider that. And one might not be a replacement for the other, or sometimes they are. Like, so for example, when Les Paul invents the electric guitar, he starts by damning the demand for the acoustic guitar, right? Because the people who are most likely to buy an electric guitar are people who already play guitar. So there might be a short period in the beginning where he's siphoning off some of their demand. However, what happens is new categories create new categories and expand what's called the category potential. Some people call it TAM, total addressable market, right? So the entrance of the electric guitar actually makes the total guitar space bigger because now most guitar players buy an electric guitar and an acoustic guitar, right? And so when we name the book 22 Laws of Category Design, we are A, tipping our hat to the OGs, because Reid and Trout are the OGs, there's no question about that. And B, we're damning the demand as people look for 22 immutable laws. If they see 22 immutable laws of category design, books aren't that expensive, throw it in the shopping cart and away you go, they're complimentary. It's called Damn the Demand.
Love it. I knew you'd have an answer for that. Christopher, thanks for the chat, mate. Very, very interesting. And I encourage everyone to head over to lochhead.com and have a look at his books, buy the books. He's got a couple of podcasts, one on being different, one on marketing. It's not as good as the other one on marketing, which I'm sure you know about. But hey, you know, damn the demand. Christopher, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Thanks, Timbo. You're a riot. And bless everybody down in the land down under. I love being with you. I spend a lot of time with Aussies who live here. And it's really been wonderful to be with you, Timbo. Thank you.
Well, there you go, team. Category pirate and niching expert extraordinaire, Christopher Lochhead. You'll find out all about him at lochhead.com. As I said, that's got a double H, LOCHHEAD.com. Or you can cut to the chase and learn his category design fundamentals and join his newsletter over at categorypirates.com. Arrrrrrrr. Couldn't help myself, sorry. Hey, if you love his approach, do me a favour and let him know via X or LinkedIn, where he is super active. And I'll put a link to those in the show notes as well. And don't forget, you can watch that whole interview inside my business owner membership over at patreon.com/marketing podcast. If you'd like to join the discussion about this episode, and I'd love you to, head over to Facebook and join the Small Business Big Marketing Tribe. That's free. Just remember, the minute you start watching cats fall off ladders, it's time to put your phone down and go for a walk. You with me? I'll see you on the inside. Righto, it's time for you to take action on what you have learned, because ideas remain exactly that, my friend, without action. Please support the work I do for small businesses by joining the Small Business Owner membership over at patreon.com/marketing podcast. First 7 days are free for the silver tier. No obligation, nothing to lose. Next week, you and I meet a young fellow actually, who built a multi-million-dollar brand thanks to Amazon. It's a great story. An introduction through John Warrilow, actually, who wrote that fantastic book, Built to Sell. That is going to be a great episode. Big thanks to editor Sam Heathcote for stitching the marketing gold together, and to our in-house rock star and Hammond organ player extraordinaire, Lockie Doley, for the music bed. But most importantly, a very, very big thanks to you for lending me your ears, for making the time to tune in, and, if you have, for the iTunes review that you left. Love ya. Thank you. May your marketing be the absolute best marketing. Bye for now.